Well, welcome to another episode of Business Ahas. And today, as you obviously might be surprised or not be surprised, I say, well, we have this amazing human on today. So today's episode is about people, making difference in people's lives, and with all due respect, kind of one person at a time, and how we affect other people's lives and how we make a difference in other people's lives. And so the organization is Southwest Behavioral, and with me today is Stephen Sheets, and Stephen's the CEO with more than 1,000 employees. They truly touch and impact hundreds of thousands of individuals in Arizona over the past 50 years. They're actually celebrating their 50th year this year as a nonprofit in our community, and truly giving back to what it means and making a difference in people's lives and how we really impact each other. And Steve and I have known each other for some time, and how we get to know each other is through that human touch. And one of those human touches, which he's not aware of today, I'm going to bring up as a name. And it's had this profound impact upon me, because how I study human behavior and human people, well, somebody he introduced me to, like punched me in the face with this belief of how you can make a difference in another human's life from his perspective. And his name is Steve Buchanan. So I had a opportunity now to meet with Steve now probably 4 or 5 times in person. And so I'm excited to hear from Stephen today, Sheets, and hear about his journey professionally, his aha moment. As you all know, it's going to be like probably the most profound thing you probably ever heard. Like, oh my gosh, this amazing thing that happened in a person's life to make a difference of where they've been and where they are today. Not to set you up, Steve, like this crazy upcoming, like I have to like do this right. Yeah. So with that, I'd like to introduce Stephen Sheets. Stephen is the CEO of Southwest Behavioral Health. He's been with the organization for upwards of 10 years, a survivor, and for the organization to be as successful as they are, continuing to move the ball forward as an organization. So I'm looking forward to talk with you today, Stephen. So Stephen, welcome. It's great seeing you, man.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You know what? And cheers ahead of time.
Cheers.
For kind of a good conversation for us to be able to have as a whole. So how does a guy with a degree in Christianity become the CEO of Southwest Behavioral Health?
Great question.
great lead-in, right?
Yeah, great question. Dominoes is a great analogy or picture, because the dominoes fall, and life leads you where they fall. And so, to be quite frank, I never thought, and I never saw myself being in a behavioral health organization. I saw myself helping people. That was really where my heart and my journey took me.
Into your master's.
Into my master's. My mother is a nurse. My mother's a nurse. My father is a school teacher for 30 plus years. Retired as a school teacher. And some echoing words that he told me is, don't worry about what you do, just make an impact in people's lives. And it just stuck with me. So I worked in retail, actually, way earlier on, before my behavioral health career. And after about 4.5, 5 years of working in retail, I said, the hours aren't great. I want to pursue a family, want to pursue getting married. And a sequence of events happened, and I quit that job without another job.
Quit
With my undergrad in Christian studies. And
here in the Valley.
Here in the Valley.
Because you are native.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go Lopes, GCU. I went into school to become a pastor. That was what I worked at a few churches. And, I think that we hear this, or maybe people hear this, but the politics in church at times, it's not every church, but the churches I was a part of really drew me away from wanting to do that full time. And so I went into retail, worked my way up to what they didn't have this title, but like a COO of the retail, like family owned shop. And then I quit. The owner and I had our differences and said, hey, how about we just part ways?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a job fair, University of Phoenix Stadium. It was probably pretty dang new, and was offered a job at Southwest Network on the spot. So I said, let's look at this and let's see if it's the right path. And I worked with kids and families doing case management services, and that just clicked for me. I loved interacting with people, watching them go from one place to the next, watching them go through their journey, and watch them actually meet goals for success. And that introduced me to my master's degree.
So, a question for you. So, you said you were at the job fair and you get this first opportunity, and the opportunity to make a difference in families' lives. And someone told you when you were younger, doesn't matter what you do, as long as you have an impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah.
Right? Being a teacher and mom being a nurse of people.
Yeah.
You're like, whew, and it clicked.
It clicked. It made sense. The healing journey made sense. I mean, I watched families who didn't even, fully, I don't think you ever fully heal from trauma, but walk through life and make, movement in their life for a new beginning. And it just was miraculous to watch people in their journey. So I got my master's degree at Ottawa. And then my teacher in Ottawa actually asked me to come over to Southwest Behavioral Health, open up a children's clinic at 26th Street and Thomas.
Which you did.
Which I did. And so, Domino's is still that analogy because, the people left at the right time where I was ready to go into their role. All the way up into the CEO role.
So when you say dominoes, like the dominoes piece gets here, the next one gets placed, next one gets placed, next one gets placed. And if they're in the right order, it all kind of flows together. That's the analogy, correct?
Yep.
And if it's in the wrong place, you move the domino.
Well, true. Or I find my journey going in a different direction.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
And I always, another thing from my father was stay committed to where you're at. And so I never really looked to go anywhere else throughout that journey, from children's supervisor to program coordinator to a director to a vice president to a senior vice president to CEO. I never entertained any offer to come my way.
I'm sure you were approached.
Yeah, I was approached, but it didn't make sense.
And Dad said what to you again?
Stay committed to what you're doing. Stay committed to.
Interesting.
He was at the same school district for 30 plus years.
Interesting.
And he just said, stay committed, be committed. I think that's a value that is lost a little bit.
You think so? Because now this new generation, you stay here 4 years, you got to move on. Stay here 5 years, move on. So your kind of believer is if it's not really going well where you are, why don't you water the grass underneath you?
Yeah.
And you did.
Or if you take a journey somewhere else, water that grass. Because you're just going to keep going somewhere else and somewhere else and somewhere else.
And if you think the grass is greener,
it's the same color.
The same color. It's you with a water bucket, right?
Yeah.
Water that grass.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so that kind of led to where you are today.
Yep.
Let's transition. Let's talk about what is that thing that happened, that aha moment in your professional career that said, and it may not be one, maybe several. Sometimes there is several, but something that kind of hit you to being, gosh, I don't know the answer. The whole point is to kind of hear it from the raw side. But what was it? What clicked that made you be who you are today, and that big thing that happened that creates who Stephen is?
Yeah. I go back to I was working with one family. I wasn't even in my master's degree. I was at Southwest Network actually. I was working with a family, 2 boys and a daughter, and they both were separate. Or two sons were living with grandma. One was living with aunt. And they lost their mom in a tragic accident. Dad was still around, but they were living there, and they were having some really outrageous behavior, not really following directions, throwing things. A lot of just destructive behavior.
They're going through a lot of rough times.
Going through a lot.
Sure, and this is their way to express themselves.
Yep.
Sure.
And I built a relationship with them.
Both of them.
All three.
Oh, okay.
And we would we'd walk around the block in South Phoenix, and we would, areas I probably wouldn't want to necessarily find myself, at night or something. But we built a relationship, and it built, and that trust that we had with each other made its way to where the two boys and the girl said, I've never been able to say goodbye to my mom. And in that moment, I realized, wow, like even the luxury of saying goodbye was taken away from you.
Hmm.
That moment still kind of is emotional to me.
To this day.
It brings emotion to me to this day. So we talked through what it would look like to say goodbye. And their idea was, you take us to the gravesite, and we'll write a letter, and we'll say goodbye.
And we'll give it to her, read it out loud,
yep, whatever they wanted to do.
Didn't matter.
Yeah.
So you allowed them kind of dictate what they wanted to do.
Yep. And that journey, infiltrated my entire soul. I mean, it was like this moment for these three people changed their lives.
And they probably had no idea how much of an impact it had upon you.
Oh, they probably still don't.
Yeah, until they hear this, right?
Well, yeah. One is an artist. One graduated college. I don't know about the other one, but it's like, and that also impacted me too, knowing that I will never know, or oftentimes never know, the journey of where another person will be. Whether they're successful, not successful, So I get okay with the fact that I will never know that person's journey, but they entered my life. They entered my journey. So that made me want to become a therapist. That was an aha moment to say, I think I want to help people work through their challenge. Whether they resolve it or not is neither here nor there. But I want to be that resource for people so that when they're in their darkest moment, they know they have a solid foundation to come to. That was my human services aha moment.
Interesting. So when you get to that point with an individual and you say, what do you need? And they say, whatever that is, in this situation, I want to say goodbye to my mom.
Yeah.
You're like, well, guess what? Let's make it happen.
Let's figure out how to make it happen.
And you made it happen.
Yeah.
Did you go to the gravesite?
Yeah.
Was it incredible?
That was amazing.
With all three kids?
Yeah. I was probably crying more than they were.
But you probably have this vivid memory of exactly that day and what time it was and what the temperature was and what you were wearing. And it's
what car I was driving.
Sure. Every detail.
Yeah.
But it's the impact on another human's life.
Yeah.
Hence, let's back up the train. Dad saying, it's about impact.
Yeah.
Who cares what you do?
Yeah.
Just make a difference in other people's lives.
There's a book called The Gift of Therapy that still I use when I mentor people, supervise people.
Well, hang on. Who wrote it? Let the viewers know.
Yep. Irvin Yalom wrote it. And
The Gift of Therapy.
The Gift of Therapy. Okay. So Yalom speaks about us, or writes about us entering each other's journey. Like our journey. I have a journey with you. Mm-hmm. You have a journey with me.
Oh, you're right.
And whether it's small or large, we have the ability to make an impact. So the cashier, we have an ability to smile and make an impact, and that could actually turn around somebody's day. That could actually stop somebody from, attempting suicide. We have no clue what our impact is. But our journey and our influence and our entering someone's journey, we take for granted all over the place. When we drive, we enter somebody's journey if we accidentally cut them off.
And they enter our journey.
And they enter ours too, yeah. And how we respond is how impactful that story could be. So that book still, it's a book many people use, but I use it as a staple, short chapters. And we use it as a supervision technique.
Today?
I still use it. Yeah.
It's a good read.
It's a fantastic read.
So when you say that aha moment that happened with this family, how old were you?
Oh gosh, maybe 25.
Wow.
Maybe.
It's like a lead brick, like boom.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
It made you say, hey, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my career.
Oh, yeah, hands down.
I've decided.
Yep.
So now, as the CEO of an organization with over 1,000 employees, how do you get to instill that fundamental? It's got to be harder, or maybe not. I don't know.
It's different. I wouldn't say it's harder. It's different. Our our mission aligns with the mission I believe in: delivering compassionate care to enhance lives and improve communities. I believe that that's also a Yalom in depth statement. We deliver great care to make people's lives great and make the community great. And so I think the impact is greater as a leader rather than in one person's life. I can make it in 1,200 individuals' lives
With everyone
that
in your
impact
staff.
36,000 individuals at any given time. And so, so I think that the impact's different. The aha moment as a CEO, I didn't know, and I didn't know if I was ready. And I mean, there's still moments of
Sure.
that, imposter syndrome that
Sure.
you feel.
Yeah.
But I would say when I was the interim CEO for about, what was it? Was it 6 months? About 5 months, 6 months. We were not doing well financially as an organization. So I rolled up my sleeves, made some changes. We did a reduction of force.
As the interim.
Oh
wow, that's a big step.
I made a ton of movement. We had single digit cash on hand of days cash on hand, and we weren't doing well. And we ended that year with double digit cash on hand. We ended the next year. We doubled it. The next year we tripled that. We made really good business decisions, and that's not just me. That's me and my team. That's the team making decisions, is probably way more decisions that I would make. But we made it so that in 6 years, we're a very strong foundational organization, investing back into our mission, people wise and even building wise. And so we are very strong, and that's because of moments, way back as an interim, where I made some decisions, and I didn't know I was even interviewing. Right then, I wasn't interviewing. I was doing my job, and that made it pretty apparent to the leadership team, and the leadership team called a board meeting without me, and asked, make him the CEO. Stop searching, like, you have your guy, and
without you knowing.
Without me knowing, I had no clue they even called the meeting.
And
they called the board sent me an email that day. I was in the office, and they said, could you come down to the boardroom?
You're like,
I said, I don't even know you're here. And they said, would you like the job? And I'm like,
well, wait a minute.
I'm like, let me think about this.
Let me back up the train. Because you assumed the whole time you were the interim.
Yeah.
You didn't. Did you apply for the job?
I did apply for the job.
Okay.
I did apply.
I'm assuming other people did as well.
Yeah. I don't know exactly who, but yeah. I mean, it was no one forecasts that. No one can get a genie, like a ball, and like shake it and say, what's my journey going to be? The CEO of Southwest Behavioral Health Services. But the moments lined up for me to get into that role, and the team believed in it.
Interesting. So a question for you. So you're working that day, you're doing your job, you hear the message come to you via email, can you come to the boardroom? And you are the interim CEO.
Yeah.
And you go in and they say, are you interested in the full-time job? So right then, at that moment, your journey changed.
Yeah.
Because maybe it didn't. I mean, what I'm curious, actually, what happened when you were said, hey, you don't have to fight for the job anymore. If you want it, it's yours.
Yeah.
And you're like, so what'd you do? Did you say yes, or did you? Obviously you said yes at some point.
I said yes. I said yes even in the moment. I said I'd be honored to lead this company. I didn't know that was going to be the journey to get there, and I didn't know that this meeting was going to be right after a meeting that I was never told about. And so I really thankfully accepted that position. And it does change. As an interim, you can, you're the bridge the gap person.
Yeah, you're the in-between.
You're the one holding down, and at the end of the day, you make the final call.
Right.
But, 6 months later, someone else might come in and be the final call. And so it does change. I mean, there's a different weight that comes when you are leading full-time rather than leading on an interim basis.
Sure.
So, yeah. Things do change.
So it worked.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess the I'm going to distill it all down is making an impact.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have the ability to make an impact, no matter where you are, no matter what you got going on, like you made a comment about our journey
Mm-hmm.
and when we met and the circumstances how we met.
Yeah.
And why the circumstances behind the circumstances of how we met. If you think about those things, that's my journey,
Mm-hmm.
which is very different than what your journey was.
Yeah.
Your chairman saying, "Hey, meet with this guy," not knowing what his journey was,
Yeah.
which is another person's journey.
Yeah.
And how we kind of interact all of those. But maybe magical word would be, how do we appropriately appreciate the other person's journey?
Mm.
So when you
Mm-hmm.
had these 3 kids, and they're going through their journey, instead of being your agenda, you said, okay, let's work on that journey together.
Yeah.
How are you going to say goodbye to your mom?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
I love that as a nonprofit. I mean, I love that our mission actually could be lived out by every single person
Every day.
in the entire world, every single day.
Yeah, their journeys.
Yeah.
And having an impact.
Yeah. We all can deliver compassionate.
So is your dad
interactions.
still alive?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does he know he gets credit for the word impact?
Well, I think he does. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've said. I think I've said.
Well,
it
he
to
will
him.
now.
He will. Yeah. If he knows how to
So
get on a
Dad-
podcast.
Dad,
but,
thanks. Yeah. Whoa. Dad, listen, I'm probably the edge of your dad, so be nice here now, young man. So he understands what a podcast is. He's laughing right now, probably.
Maybe. Yeah. He does. And my mom gets credit too. I mean, my mom's journey of
Well, she was a nurse.
being
Or is
a nurse.
Yeah.
And then stay at home mom when she had kids. I mean, I hats off to her because my wife stays home and I couldn't do that. Like it would drive me, into a really interesting place.
Well, it'd be a different journey.
Yeah, it would be totally a different journey. Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thank you.
You did it.
Yeah.
Wow. That was incredible. So Stephen got done, and I actually looked him up. Compassion, integrity, quality, empowerment, innovation, and trust. Those are the key components of the mission and values of Southwest Behavioral. You notice how he went back several times and talked about what it meant to impact other people's lives. And then when you impact other people's lives, how you are impacting their journey and how your journey is impacted. And his journey got impacted because of 3 kids when he was in his 20s. And his journey got impacted when his dad said, "Hey, I don't care what you do, as long as you impact other people's lives." So I think the message is, how are you going to affect, make a difference in someone else's life? And how are you going to be so empowering to them, like Steve Buchanan was to me, because Stephen introduced me to Steve Buchanan, and what's that led to my journey, and how we impact, and how we unfold that on each of our journeys. So my advice is, enjoy your journey. Enjoy that journey, embrace that journey, and make an impact in somebody else's life every day, as many as you can. So on behalf of our entire crew at Business Ahas, I'm telling you, this is incredible. I really enjoyed today, Stephen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And great having you. And until next time, everybody. Appreciate you.